Good afternoon. It's Mr. Beard here with your class recap for English 9 on Tuesday, February 19th. We started today with our bell ringer, which I'm going to go ahead and pop up on the screen for you here. Students needed to write 3 sentences. The first sentence involved a fictional creature and a linking verb. For example, the werewolf was Harry. Werewolf equals Harry. Fictional creature, linking verb. The next sentence, create a sentence about cowboys that contains an action verb and a direct object. Really simple version, the cowboy rode the horse. You have an action verb rode and a horse receiving that action of the riding. Third thing was create a sentence about a princess that contains a prepositional phrase. The princess lived in the castle. Very simple. These shouldn't be too complicated, but we're warming up while practicing parts of sentence, which is where we're at now in this portion of our grammar unit. The next thing we wanted to focus on was vocabulary. We've moved past Chinese Cinderella as a unit now, and we're now focusing primarily on vocabulary and poetry, with some grammar still thrown in there, but more in a creative context than an identifying context for the next couple weeks. The reason vocabulary is so important is because we encounter words every day, and often we don't know what those words mean. So instead of just getting vocabulary lists that have no real meaning to us, we're going to look at different strategies along with a realistic, usable list of words, a list of strategies to identify those words, and what we can do in real life when we come upon a word maybe we don't know, and how do we identify it, and how do we use it in its proper context. So I'm going to show you what we're doing a little differently with vocab this week. The biggest change is that this week we don't just have one grammar assignment, we have a set of assignments that utilize different skills in our vocabulary list. We have a vocab packet instead of a single assignment. The first section of our assignment is identifying our words through context clues. We're not just getting a list with the definitions already neatly folded out, and we're also not going to rummage through a dictionary and come up with definitions that may not even fit the context we're looking at. So we're going to have a small passage that includes all 10 of our vocabulary words in their correct context, and through that context we'll be able to figure out their meaning. So students needed to read this passage, and all of the vocab words are bolded, as you can see here. And then, on the next page, they had to use context clues to predict what they think the word means. So for each, the list of 10 is broken down into halves. And so for each 5 vocab words, you have 5 different definitions. All of these fit one of these 5 vocabulary words. So using the context that the word was used in, again, if you flip back to that last page there, it says there's different ways you can figure out meaning. For example, you can look for synonyms or words that mean the same thing in that paragraph. You can look for antonyms. You can look for the general meaning of the passage. Maybe that tells you what the word means just from the general meaning of the passage. Or you can look at an example in that paragraph or that passage of that word being used to make meaning of it. And then students needed to fill out what they think the word's definition is on that line. Then they needed to use the word in context. They have a list of 2 to pick from to complete the sentence. Then they needed to use the word in context from the list of 10 to make meaning of the sentence with that word. And the last thing they're doing, which is the first time we'll do this, is a little different, is they had to use analogies. I skipped over it. They had to use analogies or comparisons to make sense of the word. For example, combine is to join, as hardworking is to what? So you have to ask, what is the relationship between the words combine and join? Well, they're synonyms. So what is the synonym of hardworking? Well, diligent is a synonym of hardworking, so that would complete that analogy. Next example, a paddle is to steer a canoe as blank is to run a marathon. So you need a paddle to steer a canoe. What do you need to run a marathon? Well, you need resolve. or determination to make up your mind to do something and then follow through. So you need resolve to complete the analogy. So, again, we attacked this from a variety of angles, and the last thing we had to do was the writing angle, where students had to use 5 of the words to create or finish this prompt, one paragraph to finish the prompt using 5 of the words. And that completes our vocab assignment for this week. We will also be creating flashcards to help review for Thursday when we start reviewing these to get ready for a quiz on Friday. And that's it for today. So thank you so much for listening. If you were absent, make sure you ask me for that vocab list. If you have any further questions that this video did not answer for you, let me know. I'll be happy to help you. Thanks. We'll see you tomorrow.